is a vampire that is spelled with a Y, and their biggest enemies are werewolves, but they're called wares. Scared. Saw Bella in that biology class and he had that pain smelling. I've never heard of nodding before, ever in my life. And then he tells her to not run. I don't know. And then this plotline is so freaking messy. Heat or nodding or glands ever again in my life. Hi friends, welcome back to my channel. My name is Chia. I have never had the urge to read Bride because I hear a lot of mixed things about Hazelwood's work, and when she first came out with Bride, it was like her first dabble into sort of like the fantasy paranormal romance genre, and I heard a lot of things that like happened in it. Like I didn't know anything about the plot, but I know of like some kind of controversial points, I guess you could say. I had no desire to read it whatsoever, but when Mate came out, I don't know, I saw all the other people's reviews about Mate and that they all said you have to read Bride first, so of course I started feeling left out, and I decided on a whim to pick it up, and I wanted to read it with you guys and record my experience. I thought that'd be fun. Disclaimer, I think I'm gonna keep this video with spoilers because I want to show my actual reactions to different things that happen in this book because I'm so interested to see what happens, and I heard Mate is like double the like cringe factor or whatever with Bride. I don't know if that's the correct term to like use for it because I have not read it yet, and I thought it would be fun to do this journey along with you guys. So if you have no interest of ever reading Bride or Mate, I got you. I'm gonna read it for you and tell you all the details, and if you read Bride or Mate before and you want to see my reactions, welcome, but let's get started. Okay, so I did start it. I'm on chapter 4. A few things. We follow a character named Misery. Why you would name your child Misery, I guess I'll find out later. And she is a vampire that is spelled with a Y, and their biggest enemies are werewolves, but they're called wares. She has an arranged marriage with somebody named Lo. When she was a kid, she became part of this program unwillingly as an exchange program between vampires and humans. One vampire will be sent over to the humans to live with for 10 years, and vice versa, the humans will send somebody over to the vampires and they will live there for 10 years. It's sort of like an insurance policy, so that if there's anything done against the other enemies, the person they have sort of like in imprisonment as the exchange program is free to be unalive because it's sort of like I said, an insurance policy. So unfortunately, Misery was forced to go over to the humans to live with for 10 years. She was like a little kid. I don't remember how old she was, but of course she felt abandoned by her dad. I don't know what happened to her mom. I don't think we came across that yet, but her dad is the one who's sort of like one of the council members of this whole entire vampire clan, and he ends up having to force her, but the rules are it has to be someone close to the council members. Otherwise, if they just sent someone random there that the council members didn't really care about, then of course it's less likely for them to care about not doing anything against the humans. Unfortunately, they come across a standstill because the person who used to be in charge of the humans, the like senator or whatever, ends up getting outvoted, and a woman ends up like taking his place. Hopefully that lighting is slightly better because I am dealing with the afternoon sun right now and it's going in and out. What was I saying? Oh, I guess like she has a terrible relationship with her father, and also she never really had a good friend before because when she was with the humans, she was teased for being a part of the vampires and she was like an outcast and everything. And then when she goes back to the vampires, they already knew she was going to be sent among humans when she was a little kid, and now that she's done with the whole entire exchange program that's happening, she went back for a little bit, but they were like really mean to her, and then she didn't feel that her father protected her in any way. She ended up wanting to go back to being among the humans and also taking on a persona of becoming an actual human. She tried to downplay all of her vampire characteristics. One day she gets summoned back after like being in the human world for 7 years to her dad, and her dad basically tells her that she has to marry the were-alpha to have sort of like a peace treaty going on because the senator that they used to work with is no longer in power, and now the senator that's about to get into power is not willing to work with them. In fact, she is leaning towards the side of werewolves, and so they are like afraid that if she goes to the side of werewolves, the vampires are going gonna get outnumbered and they're gonna revolt against them. And so we are at the point where she just got married to Lee, which is like the alpha of the wares. They had this whole entire interaction when she got to the altar, which I thought was weird because it was like this whole entire weird thing where on one side, the left side was like the vampires, and then on the right side is all the wares. She comes across them and they're both like snarling at each other, like both sides, and she comes across to Lee and he turns around and smells her automatically, and it just reminded me of when Edward first saw Bella in that biology class and he had that pained smelling expression on his face. It reminded me of that so much, and like he was so anti like her, and now she and him are married, but the deal is that she's supposed to live in the were like territory for the next year, and then after that they were just gonna, I guess like she was just gonna go back to the vampire world. That's the part I'm at right now. And so she's in the were territory and she's met a lot of like couple of these werewolves already, and they are so like against her because they think that she's gonna hurt the family, she's gonna hurt like the rest of them. So one of the person that she's met, I forget, let me see if I remember what her name is. She met a girl named Anna. Anna is Lo's sister, and Anna came to Misery after her first night there, and so she ends up meeting Anna. Anna's like a little girl, and she ends up waking up Misery, and Misery's sleeping in a closet for some reason. I don't know what's going on, but she had a conversation with Lo the night before saying that why would you let yourself be taken to here for 1 year? He doesn't understand why she would volunteer to be collateral, but Misery has her own motivations. Apparently she had a best friend who's a human named Serena, and they've known each other since they were kids, since Misery was in the human kingdom, and so she interacted a lot with Serena, and they ended up like living together and becoming super best friends because Serena was like a orphan. She didn't have any family members either. I think that's the reason why Misery and her were such close friends. And also she's sort of a computer software engineer, something like that. I'm liking it so far. I'm having fun, I guess, but we'll see how long that lasts because I am only on the first 62 pages, so we'll see how long that like keeps going as I go into this. But I'm hoping to get like a big dent into here right now. It is Sunday afternoon. It's about 3:19 right now, so I'm hoping to get a few more chapters into this because it's not that long. It's about 395 pages, so I'm flying through it so far, so I'll come back when I have more stuff to say about it. I forgot to mention that at the head of every chapter there's these like little paragraphs, and I don't know who is saying these things, but it says they say keep your friends close and your enemies closer. They don't know what they're talking about. I thought that was like really funny. Apparently during the 3rd year of her being like the collateral, the one in the human program, apparently she came across an elderly matron. She was wearing a sequin dress, and when she lifted her hand to pinch my cheeks, I noticed that her antique bracelet was made of very unusually shaped, very pretty pearls. They were fangs, pulled from the corpses of vampires or live ones for all I know. And apparently like it's just the way that the alliance was, that yeah, they were trying to keep the peace, but they already were trying to show the vampires what they thought about them. There's a river or water that separates both the wares and also the vampires, so this is like the body of water, and then the vampires are taking up the south, and I think the wares take up the north. I'm trying to get the sense of like our main character so far, and I want to see how her relationship develops with the were character, with Lo. It's just so weird to call them wares. For me, in my head, they're werewolves. Apparently the vampires don't have like regular red blood, they have purple blood, and then the werewolves, wares, have green blood. When they blush, you could see the green in their face. I thought that was important to tell you guys. Someone named Alex fanboying over Lo, apparently. Even his scent was right. So one thing I forgot to mention is that apparently the alpha has a mate, or at least a rumored mate that kind of got exchanged to go to the vampires. And so she's the exchange program girl, and her name is Gabriella. I don't think that's his mate. I think there's something else going on. She'll find out later when she finally gets to know Lo. It's gonna happen. I'm gonna call it right now that I think Misery is Lo's mate, because the interaction they had at the aisle when he first saw her, like that whole entire have a pained expression now, because she thought the whole entire time that when he saw her he had that pained face because she stunk and smells like a vampire. I don't think that's the case at all. I'm calling it right now. She's his mate. Just ran into a character named Max, creepy dude, and he's basically trying to blame her for everything that he went through by losing his family. So he lost his older sister, his parents, I think. I guess he ends up attacking her, and of course she's gonna fight back because she's not just gonna let him attack her, and ends up getting the better hand in him and is pinning him to the ground while he's yelling at her. And of course, Lo comes out of nowhere and pins her against the wall because it looks like she's attacking Max. Let's see how this turns out. Of course, coward Max says that he was attacked by her, one of Lo's seconds. I guess he has 12 seconds, like the second commander or whatever. Her name is Juno, and basically yells at her that she's lying because she says that Max attacked her first. And so now she's alone with Lo, and I wonder whose side he's gonna take. That's just rude. So I'm confused, but I feel like this will get answered later. Because we're all bad bitches till a scowling were stands outside the bathroom door while we're washing our hair. So they do speak another language besides English, and she speaks it fluently. It's called tongue. Yeah, that's what it's called. But so she has a twin brother. And I guess the story is that when they were both born, her twin came first. His name is Owen. And then she came second. And so he automatically became the heir to their father's throne. How their politics run in the vampire world, it's inherited and not, diplomatic. So unfortunately, she ended up dying during labor. And then I guess she feels like she was responsible for it when they were both born, And so her and her brother were close as kids. He would be her protector, but now they're not as close because when she came back from the human lands, he kind of like stopped hanging out with her, stopped like talking to her, and so they have like a strained relationship. Now they're having a conversation with each other because she's allowed to have like a weekly phone call or a daily phone call with people from the vampire world, and sometimes it's her dad's like second in command, but this time it's her brother. And I guess they were trying to speak to each other in tongue while mixturing like English, because every single time she talks to her brother, it's monitored, and every single time she speaks to anybody from the vampire world, it's monitored and people watch. And so she is in the werewolf because she is trying to look for her friend who went missing. The only lead that she has is that she knows the alpha's name, and so she came there willingly as like a bride prize so that she can search for her. And I guess her brother is also helping out with that, and they're trying to speak in tongue and like English at the same time, so it's not suspicious that they're all speaking in tongue the whole time, so that the person who's watching her doesn't become suspicious. I guess like I wonder how this language like sounds, because like the vampires are the only ones who know the secret language and the wares don't. She's trying to see from his end if like he knows anything about Serena, her best friend's disappearance. So we'll see when I know more. She found a way to break into his room. And this is why you shouldn't snoop anybody else's room, because you find stuff like this that she says she doesn't want to know anything of. So I'm currently on page 117, and chapter 9. I guess they were having a cookout or something that Misery wasn't invited to, because obviously she's like sort of their prisoner. She was stuck in a room and she saw them having a cookout outside, and then she was looking at Anna, the little girl, because she's getting sort of like an attachment to her because Anna keeps bothering her and sneaking into Misery's room despite everyone telling her not to. I think she's like 7, but she's a really smart kid. She's like one of those ballbuster kids, and she is seen with Max, the one who attacked Misery earlier. And then she starts walking away with Max to the forest, and Misery goes crazy and wants to go protect her, and she runs into the forest and sees there's like a bunch of wares who are in the woods like trying to protect Anna too. And then it goes on from there where like they try to interrogate Max because he's not telling them why he was taking Anna into the forest. And then I guess Misery has this sort of like mind scrambling ability where she can go into his brain and like basically convince him to answer any questions that the werewolves have for Max. And he ends up like revealing that one of the loyals who are against vampires and werewolves, uniting together, is trying to stage an attack against Lo. They wanted to kidnap Anna so that they can use her as leverage for Lo to leave the alpha position. But of course, he was above the plan and Misery was there to help out. Misery is still there trying to hack into the system basically because she doesn't have access to any Wi-Fi, cell phones, they took it all away from her. She's trying to sneak into Lo's office in order for her to hack into the system to find out if like any of that will pull up her friend being anywhere. But then now she just ran into sort of like a little gray wolf, and I wonder who that is. And also freaking Max, like when she was trying to talk to him and say that, oh, I'm trying to help help you out from being tortured for information. He spits on her and she just takes it like no big deal, you know. It's so disgusting. But yeah, that's the part I'm at right now. I'm gonna like probably shower right now. It's Sunday and I might get in a couple more chapters today. If not, I'll probably finish some more tomorrow by audiobook and update then. Right now I am about to eat dinner. I think my boyfriend's gonna pick up some ramen for us, which I'm really excited about. I like spicy ramen. That's what I asked him to get. I ordered it. I'm chapter 9 and I'll update once I'm like further along, or like if I have more to say, if there's anything big that'll happen again. But like I said, I was like, I'm gonna get through this fast, so hopefully I'll be done by tomorrow. But yeah, see you then. Hello friends, it is the next day. I'm on chapter 9 of Bride. Oh well, I just read it. Just read chapter 9. From the last point that I left off, I think Misery was trying to break into their hacking system, and of course she got caught by one of his like seconds or something. His name is Cal, and then he took her to the kitchen so that they could talk it out. He already knew that it was her going through his stuff. Like, I knew that. The whole entire point of her scent being so strong on him, like that should have been a concern for her, that she was gonna get her scent all over his room when she like tried to go into his room. I don't know, it was like a few nights ago, and then she touched everything. And of course he said, why did you go to my room? Why did you look through my closet and drawers? Why did my bed smell like you slept in it? And then he brings in someone named Alex. Apparently he's another one of his wares, and he knows a lot of software engineering and everything, computer engineering. He is going through all of the computers so that he can figure out what Misery was doing in there. So she basically put like a search on through the computer, and so like she goes through and then they have like a full-on conversation. And so they go to the kitchen, have a full-on conversation, and I guess he ends up like making her basically tell him all of the things that she is trying to do, like why is she there and all that. Because he said, okay, he repeats, here are your options. First, you tell me who Serena Paris is, because she was looking for Serena in the search engine, and give me a reasonable explanation for this very poorly executed cloak and dagger quest. What happens to you next is my choice. Second, I proceed with the assumption you're a spy gathering intel unawares and use your corpse to send a clear message to your father. And so she ends up confessing everything to him. And she basically tells him that she finds his name in her planner right before she disappeared, and supposedly she was supposed to go meet with an L.E. Moreland, but then she finds out that Anna is actually L.E. Moreland. Her full name is Liliana Esther Moreland. And so it finally clicks to Lo why she's like looking for her and all that. So they go through this whole entire thing in the kitchen about asking her why she's looking for her friend and then what happened to her. And then now she's like trying to get like the confession from Lo, trying to figure out what he knows and everything. Apparently he doesn't know anything because he's never known who Serena was, which I expected. She just automatically decided to, you know, look for her. I guess during the scene we find out that Anna is a hybrid. She's half were, half human. Anna's mom was a were, which is like Lo's mom, and also her dad was a human. He wasn't in the picture, so Lo doesn't know who he is, and that's who he's trying to find out, and so he's protecting her. That's the main reason why like this whole thing happened. And then there's this funny scene that happens where she is watching him make a peanut butter and jelly sandwich, and so she keeps eyeing the peanut butter for some reason, and I guess like she sneaks a taste and he catches her, and she starts licking her fingers because she caught a taste of the peanut butter. He asks her why he just did that. She feels ashamed because she ate the peanut butter, because I guess vampires don't really need food for sustenance, because obviously they rely on, you know, drinking like, you know, the red juice. And so he asked her why she does that now if she doesn't need it, and she said Serena made her addicted to peanut butter, so that's the only food that she likes is peanut butter. Everything else she said is not necessary. That's just weird. And apparently I think Roscoe, the person who was alpha before Lo took over, I'm sorry, all these freaking names are blending in and I don't really care, to be honest, but yeah, before he took over, I guess Roscoe was like anti-humans, anti-vampires, all of that. He wanted to keep the whole entire line pure, and also he went through aggressive means to keep everything the way he wanted to. And I'm just like, this dude sounded vicious, so it's a good thing that Lo did, you know, take over and all of that, because I guess what they kept saying was that he had the scent of becoming an alpha, and Roscoe didn't like that. They scented that he was going to become an alpha, and Roscoe was like threatened by him, and so I guess Lo went off to do his own thing to get away from Roscoe because he was being threatening, and he ends up staying with this person named Cohen, and Cohen basically becomes like a sort of father figure to Lo and ends up being his mentor and everything. Okay, I'm further in now. A few things I uncovered was that apparently Lo is digital illiterate. He can barely run his phone, much less go through his computer and figure out how to software functions and everything, and he's supposed to do this mission where he goes over to California with a pack led by someone named Emery. And Emery is apparently the former Alpha's like mate. He is trying to go over to where she lives so that he can plant a bug so that they can figure out whether or not she is the one causing the loyals to go after Anna. And so they want to have like solid evidence against her before they bring it up to the council or whatever. It's funny because Misery, whenever she's with Alex is like I said before, he's the hacker, he is the big IT dude, and I guess like Misery likes to hang out with him so that they can figure stuff out together. And Misery likes to freak him out a little bit by basically insinuating that she's gonna drink his blood and all that, and freaking him out. And he's so jumpy that he's always freaking out that she's going to, even though she's not, because she doesn't like drink from like the live source or something. And I guess like they have like a family dinner with the seconds and everything. Freaking Misery is being so awkward because she is going through the motions of someone acting like they're at a dinner party and eating, and then I guess she laughs out loud because she imagines like a sitcom in her head. And imagine like someone trying to robot eating and then laugh out loud in the middle of it. You would think that's weird too, right? I'm getting to the point where it's like sort of repetitive a little bit because I'm like almost 200 pages in and barely anything has been happening. All we have been learning is that like the fact that Anna is a hybrid, and also that they are trying to protect her. There's so much obvious things that are happening in this book, but it's just repetitive. And now they're gonna go over to California where like Emery is at. I guess Misery was able to convince Lo to let her come, and now they're gonna go over there, and I'm just like, I'm incredibly bored, to be honest. Plot is not really moving along at a right pace that I want to, because there are some interesting politics. Like I said, I like how they're doing the vampire werewolf aspect. I just don't like their names. I like how they have the whole entire politics, how they're all divided and everything, which is like similar to every single other werewolf and vampire stories that are out there. And so I just want more stuff to happen, but I'm gonna keep on going. It's not taking me long whatsoever to get through this book. It's like literally almost 200 pages. I'm at 192. Chapter 15, and I'm gonna take a little break right now, but I'll be back. Is Hope, Love, Courage the new live, laugh, love motto? Is it Hope, Love, Courage now, since this wearer is apparently wearing it as a pin? Apologies for like the haphazardness that this vlog is taking. I just wanted to like get into up-to-date updates since I am like reading this for you guys. Good news, I made progress. I'm on chapter 24. I'm about 100 pages away from finishing. I'm on page 301. So let's go through all the stuff that like I discovered while reading. Like I said, again, nothing really happened because it's literally one of those books where it's all about the relationship, which I expected since, you know, it is a romance, contemporary romance, but with like paranormal romance mixtured into it. From the last time I talked to you guys, I think that I left off with Misery going to California with Lo to meet with Emery. So they meet with Emery, and then there's this whole entire chapter where they go through this whole entire fake dinner and they talk, and then they end up trying to make up a plan so that they can go out and implant this like bug into her computer, which I thought was like a dumb idea, because if you both of them leave, then what they do is they go off into a room on their own to the office that I think Emery stays at, and to cover up them like snooping through the computer to put the bug into it, he tells her to drink from him. And this is our first kind of like, I guess you could say, like spicy chapter. I was expecting like maybe 100 pages into it that like it was gonna be smutty right away, because that's what I'm used to with like the stuff that I've read from other Ali Hazelwood books. But I know that once I get to a certain part, it's just gonna get like really out of control. There's like no lead up to it. I'm getting kind of bugged with like Misery being so naive. She's constantly assuming that Gabriel is like Lo's mate, when there's no sign that he's ever talked about her, or she like brought up also the fact that none of the people inside the Ware territory ever talk about Gabriel being Lo's mate. So wouldn't that kind of be obvious to her? I am so over it, and I'm like girl, it's literally spelled out right in front of her, and that he's her mate. It was obvious from the point where he smelled her during their wedding. So, oh, and also we met Cohen. Cohen is Lo's mentor, and also he's being kind of like an a-hole because he doesn't care at all anything, and so he just like says out-of-pocket things all the time. He's the most interesting Ware I've met so far. I'm guessing these like chapter headers are from Lo's point of view, and chapter 16, and I guess they have like sort of the after drinking from him, they have like a whole entire sexual encounter. They're pretty much climbing on each other when it happens. The guards come in and they see what's happening and they are apologizing when they're losing themselves with each other. And then I guess like Cohen mentions that he hears news from Lo's territory saying that they should come back right away because there's something wrong with Anna. And so of course they rush back, and then I guess she has a sickness, she has a fever. Since she is like half human, they don't know how to treat her half human part, and so Misery is the only one who knows how to treat her and get the correct medicine that she needs because she spent so much time with the other humans. So she's pretty versed in the human world despite not being human, and so she ends up getting like medicine for her and everything, and they don't really trust her because she's a vampire still, and they're still going through that, which makes sense. Afterwards, Anna does start feeling better, her fever breaks, and I guess she hasn't been holding food down for a couple of days. And then what else happened? I'm just trying to do like the big points right now because I did like listen to the audiobook the whole time at work, so this is the gist of it, okay? Oh yeah, Misery ends up getting like poisoned. I guess she and Lo are about to kiss after the whole entire drama with Anna, and then all of a sudden she ends up fainting and being sick for a few days, and she ends up like being in terrible pain, and they find out that she's poisoned. And then I guess there's a doctor who's the collateral doctor. He basically goes around to all the collaterals, like the humans, the vampires, the werewolves, whatever. He goes there to treat them, and so he finds out that she was poisoned, and the only way they have to find out where the source was, and I guess somebody poisoned the peanut butter. So either they were trying to put a hit on Misery or it was somebody else. I have a feeling that it's about Anna. I think they were trying to put a hit on Anna because I don't believe, unless like, I don't know, these are my theories, okay? These are just my theories. Like I said, I'm enjoying so far. It's boring. This is the first plot point we've had, her getting poisoned, that like kind of furthers the story, I guess, because it's not just them like talking anymore. It's about protecting Anna and protecting Misery, because we don't know if Misery was the one who got a hit on or Anna was the one, because Anna also eats from that peanut butter too, because when Lo was making that peanut butter jelly and sandwich, he was having it prepared for her because he knows she has nightmares. I have to give that to him though, that he's like such a good big brother to her. He's the only one that she has, and also everyone loves Anna because she's such like I said, she's a ballbuster, and so she's funny and she pretty much gets what she wants sometimes despite what her brother tells her. I don't know, I'm just like not liking how Misery is so naive. It's just that she's so neutral. She doesn't care what happens to the vampire. She doesn't care about were politics. She doesn't care about humans being like treated equally too. And I think because she's moved so much to different species and has just been used as a collateral and instead of being like an important person, that she has been neglected all her life. So she doesn't really like care about anything. And the only person she's ever truly cared about is Serena. That's why she's so adamant about finding her. But apparently Serena and her sort of like had a falling out or a fight or something. Serena yells at her for not caring about anything besides Serena, and she needs her to care about something stronger than just like her friendship, and she wants her to stand up for something, which I understand. And so I'm just like curious to see what happened to Serena. Okay, one more update before I stop for the night. So I guess Lo likes to draw. Misery found a bunch of like his architect drawings, and he's an architect, I forget, because it's just like a background thing that like he doesn't really actually talk about. It's her who brought it up. So he's an architect, and also Owen calls Misery and tells her that somebody tried to break into her apartment a few days ago, and so they are trying to uncover the surveillance footage, but they want to meet in person. So Lo is trying to arrange it so that they can go and meet with Owen to see what he found from the surveillance footage, and they're trying to figure out why somebody broke in the first place. And then I guess also they go and meet the governor, because apparently the governor was in talks with somebody who is supposedly Anna's father, and so he goes and tries to figure out everything about him. Since he passed away when he was like on an accident, everyone's thinking that he got assassinated. So we meet with Governor Davenport. He was the governor prior to the new governor taking over, but he was the one who appointed the person who's Anna's father. Davenport confessed to being the person who put a hit on Anna's dad. They have dinner with him and everything, that lasted like a chapter, so it barely like even like made any dents to the plot. At least we got more information, and now they're about to meet with Owen, and I think they're bringing Gabrielle along as well. And Gabrielle is the supposed mate that we all know that is not Lo's mate, but Misery is too dumb to figure that out. But whatever, I will continue, and I think the next time I update, I will probably have finished this book. Chapter 24. I am determined to finish this book tonight, guys. It's like 100 pages left, so chapter 24. They are meeting with Owen and also Gabrielle. The whole entire time, Misery is thinking in her head, trying to observe all of like Lo's interactions with Gabrielle. They have like the most straightforward reaction ever, and so they go and like talk to them, and apparently Owen wants to have their dad's seat on the council, so he's trying to plan a coup against her dad. He's asking for her to support him, basically. It's a lot. It's freaking a lot. I'm like, we barely know Owen, so I don't know if he's gonna be a good leader or not. I don't know if he's gonna be like making everything equal, so I don't know. And then apparently he's been making these plans for 3 months, ever since his dad chose for her to go through with the marriage and for her to be the collateral in the were worlds. So he's been kind of like feeling this whole entire thing about it, so he wanted to take a stand and decide to stage a coup so that he can take over his dad's like seat. Like I said, somebody broke into Misery's apartment. Apparently they like jammed something so that they can't get traced anymore, you think? So nodding was brought up. Lo is telling Misery kind of what it is. Okay, so like they go to her apartment because they want to check the place out to see what they could possibly have been wanting to steal. And so they go, start having like a makeout session because Misery finally realizes that Gabby is not Lo's mate. Obviously, you could tell from the first page that they weren't. And then she ends up confronting him, and then she says, "Oh, Gabby, she is not your mate." And he says, "She? No, did you think she was?" He blinks uncomprehendingly. "Governor Davenport said so, but at the back of the ceremony." His eyes widened with understanding, and I watched the realization hit him. "No, the traditional contract between vampires and wares require the collateral to be 2 things, in good health and related to the alpha of the pack. I knew that, but for the first time I actually think about it. Do you have any living relatives aside from Anna?" He shakes his head. "I see, and you weren't about to let her go. It was also non-negotiable, so we made the case that a mate equivalent is up to a blood relative within a were pack. It's not quite straightforward as that, but the council bought it." So they lied to them, saying that Gabby was his mate. That's what the miscommunication is. And then we go forward. Oh gosh, like this whole entire thing with nodding. If you guys grew up reading like fan fiction and lemon stuff, well, like a lot of my friends did. I didn't really venture into that part of fan fiction. I did read fan fiction growing up, especially about like different pairs of Harry Potter characters and also like a few Kingdom Hearts characters, and I forget what else. I've never heard of nodding before, ever in my life, and this was just maybe the tip of the iceberg? I don't know. And then so like I guess she tries to, after the whole entire thing, she tries to confront him, asking him why does that happen, and she like kind of assumes that the only reason why it happens is because she's his mate. Duh. And then like he tries to break her heart and says that no, you're wrong, I thought this was just gonna be something superficial, I didn't think you were gonna take it that way, when it's a full lie. She is your mate, you're just lying about it. And I'm just like, I don't understand why when she's like fully accepting of it, you know? I don't know. And then he says that someone's gonna pick her up, so Mick is the one who comes and pick Misery up, and then also he used to be a part of Roscoe's pack. He used to be a second to Roscoe. So I was very suspicious of that. I'm just like, I wonder if he's gonna betray them. Guess what? He did. He poisons Misery by putting a syringe in her neck so she can be knocked out, and then they can take her there. And now we're on chapter 27, where Misery gets like taken to the place where like Mick is keeping her, and guess who she finds? Serena. Serena's alive. I seriously thought we were gonna find an unalive Serena, but it's happy to know that she's alive, and she's been literally been a captive for 2 months, I think it is. So they're guarded by like werewolves, and so they try to attack them. I guess like they do like a huge powwow catch-up session, and so they decide that Misery is the one who they try to convince to thrall like the guard, and ends up like going wrong, and then Serena ends up like hurting the guard guard and they find out they were not being held in werewolf territory, they were being held in vampire territory. So I was freaking right about the dad being a part of it. I did not talk about it because I knew it was going to be a typical like vampire trope where he was going to be the evil and all that, especially since he was so ready to like let go of Misery to the were territory and also to easily let her go as collateral for the human territory also. They run out and they try to sneak out, but of course like Vanya, the person who basically took Misery back from the human world and brought her back to the vampire territory, is the one who catches them and tries to bring her back to their dad's like office and everything. So that's where I'm at. I'm on chapter 29 right now. Things are about to go down because now they're confronting his dad. And then also I guess like Owen walks in with Lo handcuffs. I'm like, what's going on with Owen? I wonder if like he's good or if he's not. So Owen is on Misery's side. He's not against them and didn't betray them. Oh, and also the reason why Mick is helping them is because I don't even know what Misery's dad's name is. I really don't care. Misery's dad has Mick's son captured, so he is holding him. And then of course like it goes through the evil villain like going through his plan, saying that no one should be stronger than the vampires, blah blah blah. That's why he was trying to go under the wares, because if like these hybrids are found out, then it's just gonna throw a wrench in his plan. There's gonna be some interspecies stuff and all that stuff. Misery's dad basically knew about everything. He knew about the mating bond, he knew about Anna being a hybrid, and that's the reason why he took like Serena or something, because she started asking questions about her background, and then we find out that Serena is a hybrid. She is also half human, half were, and I think she also discovered that she can shift. They were forcing Lo to basically choose between Misery and also Anna's life. I guess like Misery and Serena have like a secret language that they made when they were kids, and so Serena basically tells her, I can shift. They were wrong about that. Anna can't shift, and Anna has like everything that has a were characteristic besides the shifting part. So like they're trying to hide that from her because like they don't want her knowing that she's like different from the other wares. And so Serena basically breaks it to Misery, saying that, oh no, you know that they think they know I can shift. And so she tries to give that message to Lo that Serena can shift, and they have a plan, because Serena ends up like shifting, and then that's when like Owen ends up taking off Lo's handcuffs and everything. So now we are about to see evil villain daddy like taken down by his kids. And so chapter 29, they're basically like holding her dad like captive, and of course Owen gets his like final confrontation with his dad by telling him that I'm gonna unseat you and I'm gonna undo all the damage you've done over the past few years about segregating all these people, taking away all the collaterals, because the stuff that happened to my sister should never happen to anybody else. So Owen is sort of like a good guy, which I like. I think so far he's the only one I really honestly like in this whole entire story. And then so chapter 30, I'm on chapter 30. I'm scared. Oh my god, it's starting. Now I know what nodding is. Okay, so they're going on to their happily ever after. They say I love you, and then the whole entire thing happens at the end. I honestly think Misery forgave Lo way too easily. I don't know. The third act conflict was very cop-out. It lasted a page, and then they got back down to business, and then it's an epilogue. Whole entire thing after Misery gets kidnapped, like Anna has to be put into hiding, but this time they finally have her back because like all the evil is kind of like eradicated right now, but there's still gonna be people after her, that's for sure. And so Serena's there, and there's like a scene in the epilogue where like Cohen goes there to like drop off, and I think it is because she's been in their territory. Cohen has like this big reaction to Serena, and of course we already know who the next book is gonna be about, so that means we are gonna be moving on to Mate. Okay, final thoughts. I think Bride I might just give a 3.5 stars to. It wasn't, I don't even know what to think about it, to be honest. Like, it was a fun, good time. I liked it, but did it have depth in it? I wasn't expecting depth, but did I like majority of the characters? No, absolutely not. I thought Misery was way too naive. She was very oblivious. Like, it was literally written on the walls, and I couldn't understand the whole entire miscommunication thing about like him lying to her, saying, you're not my mate. I think you just like got it wrong because like I'm too like scared to be vulnerable with you, and I'm like, that's been said and done before. So yeah, 3.5. I did have a good time, but I thought thought the characters were kind of lame, to be honest. Let's see if I like the characters more in Mate. Okay friends, I am currently back home and I just got home from work. It's about like a Thursday right now and I'm up to chapter 5 on Mate, so which is about 56 pages. This is my first impression so far. We start off with the prologue and then we witness like sort of like a little girl trying to hide in the closet because some person is trying to attack like the wares, and she tries to wake up this were who seems to be keeping her, but I guess like he doesn't want to be woken up, and then somebody comes in and ends up unaliving the person. So she ends up hiding in the closet, and I guess the person who rescues her finds her in the closet and yells to the person downstairs that they need like CPS to be called because they found another kid. And then we go on to chapter 1, and then I guess it starts off with Serena in the cabin by herself, and she put herself in self-isolation. I guess like we're gonna slowly uncover that, and I guess like a vampire is trying to attack her when he goes into the cabin, and then I guess like Cohen comes up while after she tries to attack him, but then the vampire ends up like overpowering her, and Cohen tries to make a deal with the were and says that, oh, I don't care about her, but I would like to not start a war with everybody because you killed her and all of that stuff, and tries to distract him enough so that Serena has like a weapon, but she like was not able to overpower him fast enough, and so he distracts the guy enough in order for her to hit him with the rock, and then Cohen ends up like slashing him in the back and unaliving him. Guess we like flash back and forth between present day and now, and then the second chapter ends up being at the end of like the bride book where Anna comes back from being with Cohen and being protected by Cohen, and I guess the moment he walks in after like Serena gets rescued and everything, he realizes that his mate, and so he has a conversation with her because Lo is trying to tell him to be honest with her and tell her that, you know, he's her mate, and so he brings it up to her and tells her that no, I'm not gonna do anything with it because we are not gonna be like that. And also Serena basically tells him that I just came off from captivity, I don't need a relationship right now, especially like a forced mate on me. And then she is staying with the Southwest Pack for a bit until like she ends up asking for help to be in self-isolation for a bit. Sorry for the sudden change in area, but my battery died in the middle of that. So where did I leave off on? Oh yeah, after getting rescued by Cohen, he basically tells her that she has to come back, that the vacation is over, that she's been on for 2 months being on a wilderness retreat. And so they're driving back, and then I guess right now Serena has like PTSD from the stuff that happened to her in the past 2 months. Not only that, but she's also trying to get over the fact that for her whole life she thought that she was a human, but turns out that she's actually a hybrid. So now it's present day and they're driving back to like the territory. It goes back and forth because like she ends up falling asleep in there because they have to go to like a territory and it's a few hours drive, and she goes to chapter 4 where Serena basically gets like interviewed on TV as being the first hybrid, and I guess she decided to go on the interview to basically take heat off Anna because I guess that both the vampire and the were like clans and, you know, packs and even the humans, they were starting to get like suspicious because they mentioned that it was a younger kid who was, you know, a hybrid, but instead she was trying to take the heat off of it, and she thought it would be like brave and everything to do it, but I guess like the geneticists who were also there basically called her out and then revealed to the whole entire world that she was infertile and she wasn't able to have kids, and that was the first time she ever heard of it. And so a bunch of HIPAA violations there, and then I guess she gets like scrutinized and sort of like attacked and like mouthed off to by like one of the agents or reporters, and Cohen comes and protects her and basically threatens the guy and all that stuff and yada yada yada, and then they end up stopping by the safe house. I did get a little bit further while I was letting my battery charge. What part am I at right now? Okay, so I'm like around chapter 8, and then I guess like they're having sort of a communication thing with the Southwest Pack because after the whole entire incident with Serena almost getting attacked, they're trying to figure out who is like putting a bounty on her, and I guess somebody put a bounty on her head saying that if they could get the hybrid person to come and turn them into the party that's like asking for her to be brought to them, then they will give them a big reward. That's why the vampire was there, and then now the vampires everywhere are trying to get at her, and even some wares too because they don't agree with the fact that she's a hybrid. I guess the hit came right after she did the interview, so now everyone's saying that she shouldn't have done that. And then right now Serena's kind of annoying me a little bit because she has a secret that's going on. It's one of those things where like she has a secret happening and she keeps alluding to the fact that she might not be alive the next few months. So I'm assuming that she has some sort of like disease or whatever, and like not whatever, like it's serious. But I don't like it when the book is like not only hiding stuff from the characters but also hiding stuff from the reader as well. So right now we're going through that, and then I don't know, like the fact that they're hiding it from us and then I don't know how long she's gonna hide it from us, it's really annoying because I hate the miscommunication trope and being a part of that miscommunication trope when like we're the ones reading it and we don't know the full information happening. Like if it was slowly getting to that information, I wish there was more stuff alluding to it rather than like, oh, she's hiding it from Misery because she doesn't want her to find out and stuff like that. And then she and Cohen are not like, you know, close despite them being mates and all. And then Cohen has basically told her that he doesn't want her and she doesn't want him, but you already know with these kind of books it's gonna come out. So we get over to Serena basically talking to her doctor, and it's one of the Ware doctors. She is telling him all her symptoms. She basically gets a fever at night, and the only way to combat it is like if her dumping herself into ice cold water, and also she starts vomiting in the middle of the night and she ends up having to stay in the bathroom all night, and also she has not been able to eat, and I guess like also she has sensory issues, so like she can't wear tight clothing because then she just feels it rubbing on her skin. What the doctor said, it's called cortisol surge disorder. I guess it's common in Wares, but it's not common in younger Wares. It's supposed to be more common in older Wares. And Serena's 25, and oh, and also I guess it's sort of like a age gap trope because Cohen is 36 also. And then I guess like she told the doctor that she doesn't want anyone to find out because if she's gonna be gone already, she might as well just like leave without like a tearful month, a few months. And then I feel like that's super selfish on her part, especially with the whole entire like Misery situation, because I would be mad if like I was in her situation. And also she is trying to hide everything from everybody, and then she also is trying to make herself be bait for the vampires so that, you know, she can basically be a martyr so that she can protect Anna that way. And she's being so self-sabotaging, and it's just really annoying the hell out of me right now. So I hope she gets better, and I hope we find out more. Oh, and also she tried to go through everything. She tried to go through like different treatments and everything. The doctors tried everything, even like mini surgeries here and there, and apparently nothing has helped. And so she's also been given like medications, and those medications are not helping. So the doctor basically gave her about 4 to 6 months left to live, which is really sad. I'm sure they will like find a cure for it and everything. So I'm interested to see what she has and what's going on with her. And I guess like they're basing it on the fact that she's a hybrid, so they don't fully know what's going on with her. Okay, so we found out more about what the Northwest pack is different from the Southwest pack. So I guess with this pack, like the Alpha is not the one who's fully ruling them. Each like different clan is ruled by a huddle leader, and I guess each huddle comes from different regions, and I guess the only thing that Alpha is like does is to give final say on things and also like disagreements and like help guide them basically. Like he has the final say, and also he advises the assembly. So he's sort of like the Queen of England, where she's not fully supposed to do like parliament stuff. It's the parliament who decides on those things, but then she has final say. He's also there to, you know, take care of everyone and making sure that everything stays in order. And so he basically takes her under his wing because he doesn't want to, you know, leave her. And then they have this dynamic where they have a bunch of banter going on. He is trying to be the full-on alpha, trying to tell her what to do, and of course she's not having it. And then she's always like teasing him and calling him lumberjack because I guess he has a beard and also a top knot. And I guess like Juno from the previous book, the one who is from Lowe's pack, whatever, is the one who's looking into Serena's genetics. And I guess they found out that her dad was the one who was wolf and not her mom. And she got relieved because that is hopeful for Anna, because Anna's mom was the werewolf and not the dad. And so that means that like maybe she just got it from her dad's genes and the sickness won't affect Anna. Do not mind my current angle. I am currently on my lunch break at work, and I want to maybe take a few minutes to talk about like how far I got and everything. I'm almost maybe halfway through the book now. I think the last part I left you off at was like chapter 13 or 14. So Serena basically ends up like going with Cohen, and she's still with him. Oh, and by the way, I'm having iced tea bagel for lunch. I got the bagel jalapeno and cream cheese. I am obsessed with jalapeno cheese bagels because when I used to go to college, there was like this little convenience store that was right next to my classes, and I used to work on campus too. During my lunches and also during my breaks, I would go over to the convenience store all the time and get the jalapeno cheese bagel. Where we leave off it. Okay, so Serena, she is with Cohen, and then she is trying to convince him to not bring her back to the Southwest pack, and so she is able to convince him to not let her go back. He comes up with a plan that they need to be seen together so that like any vampires who are sending out any spies or anything, they show that she is with him. So they're walking around, and I guess like they go shopping, and then there's this part where like this dude is trying to find clothes for Serena. He's sort of like a personal shopper, and they start like making fun of Cohen. I don't know if I mentioned this before. I guess Serena was making fun of him, saying that he looked like a lumberjack because he has a man bun and also a beard. The shop owner like started teasing him for how unkempt he looks, and he should represent the pack better because he's the alpha, but he is focused on making sure the pack is running good. So that part also, and then I guess he takes her back to his like cabin in that area. She wants to be left alone because she doesn't want like her sickness obviously being shown to Cohen, so she's trying to convince him to go somewhere else or her be by herself. And so he said that in order for her to be by herself, she has to like beat one of his seconds, which is Brenna, I think her name is Brenna. And so he says that if you beat her in hand-to-hand combat, I will let you be on your own. So she and Brenna like fight. She and Misery were able to sort of like learn self-defense classes because obviously they were on their own, they were kids, and also I guess she got harassed a lot growing up because she fully developed early ahead of everyone else, and so a lot of like men would like leer at her and everything, so she had to develop like self-defense skills. And so they are hand-to-hand combating, and then she finds out stuff about like Cohen a little bit. Like apparently Brenna and him used to hook up before when they were kids, and I guess she seemed to have sort of like a resentment towards Serena and tells her that Cohen will never ever like do anything with her even if like she begged him. Serena thinks she gets the upper hand on Brenna, and then in truth like Brenna ends up tricking her and then flipping her down, and then like Cohen's there to laugh at her, saying that she got the best of you so you can't be by yourself. So that's where I left off. But I'm gonna eat this and then I'm gonna go back to work and hopefully update you guys some more after work. It says in the audiobook I have like 2 or 3 hours left. Maybe I can listen to it if I don't get too busy. It's like Halloween weekend right now, so it's Friday on Halloween. I'm trying to get this up by Monday, so I'm hoping to finish this by tomorrow so I can get it edited. I'll come back when I have more updates. Okay, don't mind the angle. I'm on a walk right now. I work a regular 9-to-5 job that's inside an office, so I have to take like walks during the middle of the day, otherwise everything's gonna get really mundane. I get crazy like being inside all day. But okay, I think I'm on chapter 15. So basically after she ends up getting beat by Brenna, she and Cohen like walk out, right? And she sees like a brown parcel or a package just wrapped in brown paper. Cohen goes over to it and sees that there's a note there, and it said, "To the former human," or something like that, you know, obviously for Serena. And then this girl knows that she has like people after her. Tell me why. She like jumps from the hood of the car to grab the parcel, and Colin like holds her back and says, "What are you doing?" And she's like, "I'm grabbing my parcel, obviously it's for me." Do you not remember that there's a bunch of vampires and also humans and also wares who want to put down? I honestly can't with this girl. And so like Cohen opens the brown parcel package, and in it is a locket with like claw marks on it. It's a silver locket, and I guess it insinuated that it's from her mom. Her mom's the human, remember that. And then her dad was the were, but we still don't know who her dad is. Okay friends, I am home now. It was harder to film at work on my break than I thought it was going to be, but here I am. I think I left off at chapter 13. Oh yeah, chapter 13. They go grocery shopping right after they are done like walking around, and then like Serena gets new clothes. And also like, I don't know if I mentioned this, but she has to get new clothes because she has none, obviously, because she left everything at the cabin that she was attacked at. After the whole entire like clothing debacle happened, they go and get groceries, and so she tries to get like her products and everything, and then he tries to give her space while she's walking around the store, but you know, still protecting her at the same time. And I guess when they go home, he ends up like buying everything that she was eyeing and that she told herself that she didn't need. She found all of that in the bags, and also he bought like a bunch of like underwear and underclothes for her, I guess, but all like in red. So I guess he wants her all in red. So chapter chapter 14. So I guess like she meets like the found family that he has. These two naked guys just walk into the house and like they are trying to find Cohen, and they find her there, and they meet Serena, and Amanda walks in and yells at them for coming in naked and like not waiting for Cohen to arrive before like they just walk in. And so Serena decides to like make food for them, make breakfast for them, and slowly all like the members of his packs are coming in, like all of his seconds and everything. And also he gets kind of like annoyed that they're all there, even though he loves having them there secretly. He kind of tells Serena off for like making food for those twat waffles. So I think their banter is really funny. So there is a game that she like ends up playing with him that she used to play a lot with Misery. So Misery and her used to play this like two fist, where like they hold two fists with each other and they tell each other like, oh, choose one. Since both of them had nothing, they would do like non-material stuff like a hug or like a game of this or a game of that. So she makes him choose which fist to choose. I guess like he chooses the one where she offers to teach him how to play piano, because there's this piano that she finds inside the cabin that he says that he's never played, which I feel like is going to be a lie, because why would he have a random piano there? So she's gonna tell him how to play, and then I guess like they go through this whole like scene where she teaches him how to use like chords, like he keeps pressing the C chord over and over and over so that he remembers it. This is literally like chapter 15. She still having her night terrors and like still having the whole entire like situation with her condition. So she has a fever at night, and Cohen is still sleeping on the outside in his like wolf form, but still close enough so that he can be close to her when all of this stuff happens. She ends up waking up in his bed. Obviously he's not there because he's sleeping outside, and she realizes that she's soaked the bed with like sweat, and so she wakes up to take a shower, and then she is also wearing like his flannel. She like looks outside and she sees Amanda just sitting on the porch, and so they keep on talking. They get into talk about like Cohen's relationship, and I guess this is where we find out that Cohen had to take a celibacy pact. Apparently it's like this celibacy covenant where like all the alphas of the Northwest clan have to take, because there was an issue back when he was a kid where like a previous alpha or something like that had his mate or someone he really cared about a lot, and then it jeopardized like his whole entire clan because of the whole entire fight that they had with the humans and the previous werewolves. And so he became alpha when he was 15, and ever since then he's been like celibate. So not to only throw like this whole entire issue with her getting attacked by not only vampires but also like other wares and like humans knowing where she is and everything, but also they had to throw in the wrench of him taking a celibacy act so that it can bring on the tension. So we'll see how that tension becomes. Let me see what else like happened. She's reeling from the news that he took a celibacy act, and she doesn't want to, you know, ever try to jeopardize that, especially like since she's caring about him, and she never wants him to ever like have to choose between her and their pack. Basically just forgets about like ever them being together. So she is in the like cabin, and she realizes that she left like the flannel unwashed and everything, so she is rushing to go put it in the washing machine and to wash it. And so Cohen walks in, and he gets all tense because he sees like the flannel, and then he tells her to not run because he doesn't want to chase her, and she's so confused. But I'm assuming that it's because like she has her scent all over the freaking plaid shirt. It's gonna be a part of his wear instincts or something, and so he tells her not to run because he doesn't want to chase after her. So she like slowly walks to the laundry room so that she can wash it. I just thought that was funny. And then like she basically offers to do something for him. And so the beginning of chapter 17, it's like a bunch of like innuendos. So this is the conversation they start having in chapter 17 after the whole entire like don't run. And she starts off with, don't be nervous. I'm not. Cohen, I know it's been a while for you. Just effing get it over with. What? No, that's not how you do it. This is an experience. Then make it a quick experience. Why are you being like this? I'll be gentle. Am I not gentle? You mispronounce annoying. Oh, come on. I'm having fun. I wish I could say that feeling is mutual. Should we put down a sheet or something? You're making way more of a mess than I thought you would. Though I guess it's normal since it's been so long. If anyone's making a mess, it's you. She's shaving his beard and cutting his hair. Of course, like an innuendo. It starts off with that. I already know it was happening, but like it's funny. I guess like a woman named Annika and then also somebody named Xavier and Carolina walk in, and I guess they're just like checking around because they are a part of the assembly or something, and they're the ones who basically make sure that Cohen is upholding the covenant. So they come by just to check because they find out that Cohen is inhabiting with his mate inside the cabin when they know that he's supposed to be celibate. And then I guess like that's when Serena reveals that she knew the covenant was a thing. Serena's trying to tell this assembly that wouldn't you smell it if like you knew that we were having like relations or whatever, having like, you know, sex? And then there's this part where she says, oh, listen, you may not know me, but Cohen has been your alpha for years. There's no need to treat him like a F-boy. Why do we need to use that word in this book? I don't know. They all look at her because they don't know what this word means. And she says, you know, an F-boy. Just, you know, a boy who... And they all just look at her with like confusion. And then she is like, oh yeah, they don't understand like human words and all that. I just don't like the fact that like that word had to be used in here. Also got into chapter 18. Like, I'm doing like a quick synopsis of these like chapters because not that much happens. Being 200 pages in and the plot is not even moving forward. It's literally like Cohen and Serena just, you know, hanging out, trying to get to know each other, which makes sense because it is a contemporary romance thing and they're trying to get to know each other. They just happen to be, you know, vampires and they should be wares and hybrids running around. These quick synopsis, because like they don't need to be super detailed because there's nothing really deep going on with this story. So I just want to see like the quick points of like the different things. So I'm sorry if I'm not doing like a deep rundown on each of these chapters. It's just they're very quick chapters, and also it's mainly dialogue between like Cohen and Serena. That's all it's been happening for the past 200 pages. And so chapter 18, they go visit this doctor named Dr. Silas, pretty much known every single person who's been born in the past 60 years. So they come to ask him some questions because maybe he'll recall a birth that's like similar to how Serena came in and someone's age and all that. So maybe he remembers Serena. But when they come in, he basically tells them she was never born there or something. She goes outside to take a breather after like the whole entire not getting anything from Silas, and she sees like somebody who's naked kneeling before her, calling her Ava. So chapter 19, they go into this whole entire thing with the naked dude, and so he basically like starts saying that Ava needs to come back, that he's here to come get her and to protect her and all that. Cohen comes out obviously because he wants to protect Serena, and then she calls his junk a rinkless Christmas decoration for that on chapter like 19. I thought that was funny. And so she is trying to talk to him, saying that like, oh, where are you from? I don't want to go with you and all of that. And then like Cohen basically threatens him, saying that no, you're not going anywhere because you are intruding on my territory and you're trying to kidnap someone who is a part of my pack. And so he basically like tries to run away. The stranger tells them that if I can't bring you back, Ava, then I can't go back. So what he does is he ends up running towards the cliff while Cohen's trying to run after him, and he just jumps off the cliff and he unalives himself. And I'm like, what? So it ends with all Cohen can do is skid to stop. Let one hand tug at his hair, watch as the boy's body travels through the air. Listen to a long silence broken only by the sound of bones crashing against stone. That took a turn. I'm like, what is happening right now? So who is this? Oh, and the boy ends up mentioning Constantine. Constantine was the alpha of the Northwest, and then I guess like we find out that Cohen is the one who like unalived him and like took him for the alpha spot. What I was thinking in chapter 19 was that it sounded like he was a zealot, the one who was a stranger who jumped over the cliff. He was a zealot who listened to a lot of like cult stuff. I guess we find out more about Constantine in chapter 20. I guess people regarded him as a prophet. What the boy was claiming was that Constantine was still alive, but Cohen was saying that he can't be still alive because I'm the one who unalived him. He took his heart out of his chest. Cohen is gone for the night to go to investigate Constantine, and I guess it ends with like him like giving her a hug because he wants to make sure that she's okay, because she's feeling bad that she witnessed like what happened with the boy. And so he keeps telling her that it's not her fault, that it doesn't matter, like he chose what he did, and so it wasn't her fault at all. And I'm like, I'm glad that he's like comforting her like that. And it was just an awkward scene that like he ended up hugging her. Later on that night, she ends up having another episode, and so she ends up like, I guess, going into Cohen's room and just walking in because she probably like feels like better over there. Cohen ends up coming home early, and he wasn't expected to be back until like later on the morning or something. Cohen is asking her about what she needs, and then like every single thing that like, because he sees her try to fill up the bathtub, so he fills it up, and then he helps her like undress and everything and tries to put her in the cold water. And then she wakes up the next day in chapter 21, and she wakes up to like classical music. He ends up playing piano in front of her. I knew it. I knew that he was like pretending to not know how to play piano. She tries to brush off like the fact that she was sick because he's questioning her. She slowly starts remembering because like she realizes her hair is wet. And then he asks her, Serena, how long have you been feeling poorly? He says. She's trying to lie to him and like, you know, trying to say that it just happened one time. And he said, Serena, because he's always been able to see through her. She tries to lie and says, oh, I don't know. You don't know. 4 months, 12 years. What a helpfully narrow interval. I really don't know. None of this is normal, Cohen. None of this is not terrible. And the fevers began 4 or 5 months ago, but Dr. Henshaw says this is a degenerative condition that starts before symptoms manifest. She basically, after freaking 224 pages, finally confesses to somebody that she is sick. And so he like tries to ask all these questions, see what her symptoms are, and why she needed to go in isolation, because that's how we started off with her in the book. And he basically asked her, why were you in isolation? And she said, because I woke up in Anna's room. And so she was scared that she was gonna one day attack Anna or one of the other packs, and so that's when she wanted to go on a self-imposed isolation. Cohen confesses that like he finds all the goodbye letters that she wrote to Misery, to Anna. He basically tells her, we have to go and get a second opinion. In chapter 21, they go and they kind of like go try to get a second opinion. It was another male doctor, and then he tells her like the other Dr. Henshaw like exactly what he says. She only has 6 months left, and Cohen's of course gonna keep like trying to find out what's happening because he obviously doesn't want her to die. And then so in chapter 22, Misery calls to give information to Serena because she has information on the cult that Constantine was apparently in charge of. So apparently Constantine promised his followers that he would be able to find out how to turn them into wares. That's why the humans and then also the wares, like some of the wares start following him too, which is crazy. Constantine also promises his followers hybrid children, and now the reason why they want Serena is because she is a hybrid, so they want her to help prove to the cult that what they're believing is true. And then I guess she offers to be bait again. We find out that Cohen has known along with what they were after and why they want Serena, and I'm like, are we still doing this? The male main character is hiding information from the female main character because of certain thing, and he just wants to make sure first before he like tells her anything. I'm like, we are over this. I have read so many books where they go over this whole entire thing. This plotline is so freaking messy. It's like now they're adding a cult thing into this now, on top of her being sick, and also the vampires trying to get her, and also the wares like being so wary of her. It's so messy, guys. It's so messy. Stopped at chapter 22. I am determined to finish this book tonight. What I'm gonna do right now is I'm gonna go get changed because I'm tired of being in these clothes, and I'm gonna try to read as much as I can, and I will try to update you guys every single chapter until I'm done. And I have about a little over 10 chapters left. And also, how many pages am I in right now? Yeah, so 244 pages, and there's a little bit over 440 pages, so I can definitely finish this tonight. I will update once I'm further along. Yep, I just read chapter 23. Yeah. So let me see. In the middle of the night, someone wakes her up, and it's Cohen. He tells her, oh, I drew a bath for you, because he knows that's the only way to combat the fever before it gets worse. And so he draws the bath for her, and he tries to help her into it. She said, I don't want to be cold, and she actually starts like stripping. So she starts basically coming on to him, because she's super hot and super excited, super horny. Oh my god, how do I say this in the most like PG terms? He helps her to not be hot anymore. That's literally what chapter 23 is about, and we learn what glands are. And glands are, I guess, glands are like the sensitive part of like the body when these wares get excited. He figures out that the reason why she's so sensitive is because she's in heat. Like a dog, she's in heat because of her wear side. So he helps her overcome that, but not in a way where he can touch her, but still helps her to, you know. Yeah, that was a chapter, and then I guess they both fall asleep afterwards. In chapter 24, he ends up getting a call saying that the doctor he went to go get a second opinion from referred Serena's case to a midwife that he knows. And so they go and meet with this midwife. I think her name is like Dr. Layla, and I think Layla is another one of his seconds. And so Layla and him go way back, like she's another like childhood friend of his. And so she pretty much confirms that Serena's in heat. and it's just gonna get worse before it gets better. I've never seen the word glance used in so many like pages. She tries to tell her that she should like go get a partner so she can fix the heat that's within her, because it's just gonna get worse when she's like in the throes of it, and she's just gonna lose all her senses, and then all her like canine like senses are just gonna, and her like primal instincts are just gonna take over. But the only person she wants is her mate Cohen. We're at a predicament now that she's in heat, but her mate is celibate, so I don't know how that's gonna work out. Cohen wants to stay in the room with her, but Layla is like, I think it's best if I speak to Serena about this. So Serena basically tells her, I don't want anybody else besides Cohen, the only man that's like unavailable to her. Layla tells her that, well, I can give you a progesterone shot if you don't want anybody else, because Serena says that thinking about being with anybody else kind of like gives her the ick and makes her want to crawl off her skin, because all she wants is Cohen. So she tells her, oh, you need to come back tomorrow then to get the progesterone shot, because that's the only way that's gonna help like you being in heat. It was awkward because earlier there was like some like scenes where, like I said, I was listening to the audiobook. The male main narrator was like saying some sexy stuff. I just don't like his voice. Like it just doesn't fit the voice that I thought Cohen would have in my head. It just doesn't fit it, and I kind of like don't like listening to the male narrator. Like it's not his fault whatsoever. It's like my mind and like I'm the problem, you know? I can't even imagine listening to his voice talk through the chapter I just read. And so like in chapter 23 and then so chapter 24, so Dr. Layla offers to give her a progesterone shot the next day that will help with the heat effects. If I have to say heat one more time, I swear. And so in chapter 25, I guess like she cooks food for him, and it just reminds me of the whole entire scene from ACOTAR, where I'm not gonna say who it is, where one person makes food for a certain other person. If you haven't read ACOTAR, but if you know, you know. And so it reminds me of that, and I guess like he like swallows the food that she makes him, because I guess they talk about her past some more, how Misery was like her only friend growing up, and how she got into the financial services like career and everything, became like a reporter for the Herald News. I think that's where she was working at before like this whole entire thing happened, before she got kidnapped. I don't know, I'm just like still flabbergasted at the fact that she's in heat, so I don't know how that's gonna go further on in the story. Chapter 26, she is in the middle of her fever during her heat. To give the gist of it, she basically grinds on him while she's naked till completion, you know? I don't know what this book is, guys. I really don't. I'm like, really? I guess like they go through a lot of tension with each other, because now that they have the added factor of her feeling like this, while like he can't do anything for her because he's celibate, and yet he wants to help her out, and then she kind of like uses him. The next day in chapter 27, they go to Dr. Layla to get her the progesterone shot. I guess like Cohen basically tells her and takes her aside before she walks into the appointment. The reason why the whole entire thing happened with like why they took a celibacy act was so his mom had a mate as well, his dad. And so the way they were able to lure her out was because the cult people are the ones who unalived his mom and like basically lured her out by using his dad and saying that they had him. She knew that it was a trick, but she didn't want to risk it not being a trick. It basically became where she chose her husband over the safety of the pack, and because of that they were able to overpower the pack and like unalive like a bunch of like not only Cohen's parents but his second parents and all of that. And it's just really sad, but that's the reason why he's so strict on being celibate. The celibacy act is not necessarily for against like sex. It's more for him not having like a bond with somebody else, so that he's not put in the situation of choosing his mate over his pack and all that. So he basically lets her down, and then Serena offers that once she gets this progesterone shot and she gets over this thing, she's gonna go back to the Southwest, and they're just gonna avoid each other this whole time, because she doesn't ever want him to feel like he has to choose her over the pack. And so he walks away and leaves her with like another one of his members, Saul. And I guess the moment she walks in, she has like this bad feeling, right? And so like she's about to open the door to Dr. Layla's office, and all of a sudden this girl that they were talking to outside that Saul was like flirting with comes in. It's another wear, and basically like subdues her and tries to attack her. And then they open the door and they see Layla like drugged, and so they drug Serena too and take her away to obviously the cult. I said her name was Ava. It's not. It's Eva. That was my bad. And so basically she meets her aunt, because she reveals to her that Constantine was her dad, and so Constantine and her mom basically were the leaders of this cult. So that was a big reveal. And also her aunt says that the Wares are the ones lying to her, saying that, oh no, it is right to have hybrids and stuff, and that they can be turned into Wares. And so Cohen's pack wants to subdue them, and so like she asks her aunt Irene. So she finally meets a real family member, and they go talking, and then they tell her about the past, and they tell her about her mom Fiona, and then shows her pictures and try to convince her to stay with the cult basically. And she tells them that no, I don't want to stay here, and that I should be free to leave. They try to hold her there by saying that, oh yeah, they have the last letter from her mom, and that was chapter 28. Chapter 29, she talks to this human girl named Nellie. It's spelled Nele, and so like she talks to her and asks why she's there, and then she fully is brainwashed. She actually believes that she will be turned into a were, and I guess the people who get chosen to be a were or a hybrid are the favored, and so she believes that with her whole entire chest. She can't wait to be turned to were, and if she doesn't, then that's fine. She wasn't one of the favored, but at least like she's there to experience everything. And so she keeps like asking her all these questions. I guess Cohen comes in hands tied. Oh yeah, okay, so I'm going out of order here. So while she's being prepared, Irene basically tells her, oh, we know you're on your heat. So they have like this ritual where they paint green on her glands, and so like she is painted in green. Cohen walks in when his hands are tied because they know he's gonna find her, obviously, because that's his mate. Irene basically makes him reveal to her that Serena's mom and Constantine unalived his parents, and so in turn he goes and unalives her mom and also Constantine. I guess they were asking Cohen like, oh, how long have you known? And he said he's suspected for the past few days. Again, why are we withholding information from each other when it's important? I don't understand this, and I don't understand why he let Serena like find out when she is in the cult. He could have like, told her. No, chapter 29, he remembers what happens. And remember at the beginning of the book when I said that it starts off with a man finding a kid hiding inside a closet, and it's told from her perspective, and then I guess like he was calling down to the person down the stairs that like there was another kid that they found. I guess like when they were doing sweeps after like this whole entire the cult people got unalived, he found her hiding in the closet, and he ended up turning her into CPS. And so this whole entire time they've known each other since she was a kid, and so he was the one who rescued her from the cult, and I guess he's the one who brought her over to CPS. And so we find all of this out in chapter like 30, and I guess Irene is trying to tell her that justice is due to her because he's the one who unalived her parents. She is given a knife by Irene and tells her no, do what justice is due, and then of course like she doesn't kill him but ends up like slashing his restraints, his rope. And in chapter 31, that's when like all hell breaks loose. All of his pack like dives in through the window, and then like they're fighting, and then like Cohen takes like Serena from like the whole entire thing. I guess like she's in the middle of being in heat, and then somebody touched her, and it was Amanda who accidentally touches her, and then she ends up blacking out. And so they take her back home. I guess Irene runs away like the little coward she is. They're able to capture a lot of the members, but not all of them. Nele. I think that's what it's pronounced. I would pull up the audiobook right now, but I'm too lazy. She ends up waking up in Cohen's room, and then she goes downstairs. They call Layla too, just to make sure that Serena's okay. And Serena gets checked out, and that's when she asks Layla, can I still get the progesterone shot? She's too far deep into her heat, so she isn't able to get the shot anymore, and the best thing to do is just to wait it out. And so she tells her, me and the seconds won't say anything, and if you decide to do this with Cohen, please remember that to give him back to us and not take him away, because he is important to them, obviously, because he's their alpha. Serena's like, I don't want to force him to do this. And then Layla's like, you would never force him to do this. He would be more than willing to take care of whatever needs you have. So she walks away and leaves them. I went to hit stop recording, and I realized I wasn't recording the whole entire time that I was speaking. So after everyone leaves, they also speak about consent, about how like she never wanted him to feel forced into anything. He said, no, I'd rather be the one to take care of your needs instead of anybody else. In chapter 32, she comes down from taking a shower, and she still has like the green paint on her, and Cohen turns around and sees her like still have the green paint on, and she basically asks him what's the importance of this, and he tells her that green paint is there to signify where the glands are, and they're important for wearers during their heat. So he of course is enthralled by everything, and then she builds a fort so that they can like sleep in it, because I guess like they like enclose quarters and they call it a nest. And so she falls asleep, and then in the middle of the night she ends up waking up to a fever happening. And so he basically tells her, I'm here to help you out with this, because it starts like it's really starting, like the peak of her heat starts. And so he basically tells her, I'm here to take care of you. That's chapter 33. To give a little gist, he just says that I'm here to take care of you. She realizes how well endowed he is, and when they're doing like the act, she basically says something about single stair in the staircase of Machu Picchu. Here we go with the nodding part again. That whole entire scene happens, and then she basically asks him at the end, can you explain to me what the wear anatomy is? It's kind of too late there, girl. Misery tries to tell her during like a phone call or something. Misery says that they're just gonna hook up later. She already knows what's gonna happen and all that. She tries to tell her the anatomy lesson with nodding, and I think Serena just thinks that she's joking around, so she hangs up on her, and then she realizes that Misery was actually trying to tell her something. Chapter 34, the heat gets worse. He tells her that it's just gonna get worse until it like breaks. And so they just like keep on going for 3 days, and I guess like she tells him, I'm gonna go shower, and he says, no, I don't want you showering because I want you to smell like me the whole time. That's icky. On the 4th day, finally, the fever breaks and she can finally shift again. So all she needed was that to be able to shift again. And so like Amanda comes at the 4th day to check up on them, make sure that they're okay. I guess since like the whole entire vampire issue is solved, Serena is free to go back to the Southwest, since like that was their agreement in the first place. And Cohen tells her basically that he wants to step down from being alpha. Serena basically tells him that no, to not do it, because of the fact that she doesn't want him to, you know, leave his pack behind. She's afraid that he's gonna end up resenting her, and she's afraid that something's gonna happen to the pack while he's gone, and she can't live with that. So she tells him, I'm going to leave you if you end up leaving the pack for me. And so Amanda tells her that Nellie is ready to speak and says that she has information about Irene and what they want to do. And I guess they're having like a big celebration in 2 days because it's Constantine's birthday coming up. She starts telling them all their hideouts so that they can like go and get her. I think Serena wants to be bait again and volunteers as bait, and basically tells Cohen that she loves him, but he can't like stop her from doing this because it's the good of the wear pack. And then as long as he loves her and she loves him, he will never tell her what to do because he has to understand who she is. So he ends up like letting her go, and she goes to be bait. I'm gonna charge my camera for a little bit. It's about to die right now, but I should be able to finish the book because I have like 3 more chapters left, and I will do a summary when I'm done. So chapter 36, they go and they end up trying to find this cabin so that they make it obvious that, you know, Serena's gonna be on her own and they could take her, but they do it on purpose because they're trying to find out their hideouts. And like I said, Nellie is the one who's telling them where the hideouts are, and she also tells them that they acquired weapons and they've been teaching the cult how to use it, so to be careful because they are able to use those weapons. And so they're like at a cabin. I think it's Amanda and Saul. They go to this cabin, and then like she gets taken by Irene, and they drop her in front of Irene. Irene explains to her that since she's not going to join them willingly, they're just going to use her as a martyr. I guess like Saul puts a tracker in her arm, but the human guards who are there ends up finding out that she has a tracker, and so they drug her and also take up the tracker on her arm. But the next morning in chapter 37, she ends up shifting into her wolf form, and then she ends up like attacking the 2 guards who drugged her, and she ends up running to go find out where the rest of the cult goes because I guess they leave her. And then she is running and finds like the scent of like the humans and everything, so she goes and finds them, and she sees Cohen in his human form and everyone else is in their were form. And so I guess he dives into like this fire that's happening, because in the middle of this fire is where Nellie's sister is, and so he dives in to save her. And I guess he takes her out of the fire and puts her down and then tries to perform CPR on her, and he doesn't realize that Irene is right behind him. And so Serena's watching this whole entire thing. Irene is about to shoot Cohen. Serena ends up like jumping in front of like Irene's gun to stop the bullet from happening, and then she gets knocked out unconscious. And she's gotten knocked out a lot of times in this book. And I guess like she wakes up hearing Misery's voice, guess it's like chapter 38, and these chapters are going by really fast, by the way. Like, it's like non-stop action, and I think it's just like the plot trying to solve itself. And so she wakes up and she hears Misery's voice, and she realizes she's inside a hospital. And then she asks how long she's been out. Misery tells her 4 days, and Cohen has barely left her side. And she asks, oh, what happened to Irene? And then Misery says, oh, you've been de-auntied. So basically insinuating that she passed away. And I guess Cohen was the one who went kind of crazy when he found out that Irene shot Serena. Of course, like, Misery is upset at Serena and to tell her, and she yells at her for not telling her about this whole entire situation with the heat situation, from finding out that she thought she was dying for like a few months and he's keeping it from Misery, and then she ends up like she's not dying and then she's just in heat, and then she never tells Misery anything, and she basically tells her that I'm your sister, you're supposed to tell me everything and you're the only one. And I guess like the reason why Serena never wanted to tell Misery about it is because she didn't want her to have undue stress. She just wanted her to be happy. She thought that when she passes away, since like Misery has Lo and then Anna and then the rest of the wolf pack now and Cohen, they would be okay. But she tells her that you are the only one who understands anything that I've been through. There's no way I would ever be okay without you, which obviously because they grew up together and like that's her sister. I guess she finds out what happens to the rest of the cult. The cult gets like all in custody, and then they tell Nellie that she is able to stay with the werepack as long as like, you know, they don't do anything against the werepacks. I guess like Serena basically admits to not only Misery but also herself that she wants to stay in the Northwest, that even if she and Cohen don't work out and she has to leave him because he has to maintain his alpha status, then she would stay in the Northwest. And then finally, chapter 39, which is the last chapter prior to the epilogue. So I guess she goes back home after the hospital, and I guess she comes back home to Cohen being in the assembly. He is having a assembly meeting with everyone because they want to know what happened between him and Serena. Obviously he was compromised in the whole entire fight with the cult because he ended up tearing apart their leader when, you know, it was because he kind of went feral and then saw his like mate hurt, so of course he's gonna protect her. And then he tells her about like stuff that happened during the assembly parts. He tells her what happens in the middle of like the assembly, and so he tells her that I guess the assembly has told him that his position in the pack is compromised because he is in love with her. Basically, he, after coming back home, he reveals to her that all of a sudden the assembly decides that he doesn't have to uphold the covenant, that he can be with her. Where the huddle leaders waffles about stuff no more than usual. They said that I'm emotionally compromised over you, which is true. Has been true for a while, really. Every single decision you have ever made has taken into consideration the good of the pack. You can be in love with someone and still be a fantastic alpha. The thing is, I love you, and mate or not, I wouldn't love you half as much if you weren't the kind of person who deserves it. And one of the reasons you deserve it is that you care. That's why they rescinded the covenant, so they basically can be together now. And that's how it ends. And like, I'm like, it's like such an easy solution. I had this feeling that like the assembly was just gonna go against the covenant and be like, oh yeah, you're fine, you can stay with her and everything. And I'm like, oh my god. So that's like this easy solution for all the problems that they put in here, from the constant use of heat and glance. The epilogue is just, honestly, nothing really happens. It just confirms their life together. I guess she gets a remote job working for somebody named Carolina. I think she's a part of Lowe's pack. I'm not too sure. Something financial is going on with like her remote job. It's been like a month since Serena moved in, and so they're living a boring life, like just hanging out with each other every day and like doing stuff outside and stuff like that, which they both wanted anyways, because both of them have been living such like, you know, non-boring lives, him being the alpha and everything, and then the vampires attacking her and her being a hybrid and finding that out when she's been alive for like 25 years, also getting kidnapped and everything. So yeah, that's a lot to happen to a person. But I guess like it also talks about him going on this 3-day trip to the human territory. He's all grumpy because he doesn't want to leave Serena. Apparently the thing that seals the alpha mate thing is him biting her and putting his mark on there. It's called the mating mark or something. So he is hesitant to do it right away because he doesn't want to like push her like that and everything. And then so he comes back home, they run to each other and like the full reunion, blah blah blah. He tells her to turn around, he bites her on the top of her neck and then basically leaves the mark there because he wants everyone to know that she is his. And that, ladies and gentlemen, is mate. That was a ride, that's for sure. Both Bride and Mate, that's my first experience ever with like the whole entire Omegaverse thing, and I have been avoiding it. Like I said, I think I mentioned this at the beginning, I might be repeating myself, but like I said before, I never ventured really into the Megaverse. Like, I read fan fiction growing up, like in high school and like early college and stuff, but very tame things compared to what like happens at Omegaverse and the whole alpha mate situation. And anyways, but yeah, that was my first venture into it. I enjoyed my time. I'm gonna be honest and say I enjoyed my time. I had a few good laughs. I don't ever want to hear the word heat or nodding or glands ever again in my life. That's just way too many times to read in a book. I never thought humans and wares can go through heat, but that's good to know, I guess. So, and also like it's great to read this week now because it is like Halloween week and everything. I thought like the paranormal thing would be, you know, perfect for this week, and I never wanted to pick these books up because I've heard like mixed things, and I knew about the whole nodding situation, but I didn't specifically know what it was. But now I know more than I wanted to. But yeah, that's it. Thank you for joining me. I hope you liked the whole entire synopsis I read because I wanted to read the books for you guys just in case you don't want to pick it up but you just want to know what the fuss is about. So I hope you guys enjoyed. If you want more videos like this, like comment like other books that you want me to read for you and like show my reactions to you, and I could just like completely tell the whole entire plot because I love watching videos like that of books I know I'm never gonna read. I like looking up the plots for it. And then like Carrie Can Read, one of my favorite like series of hers that she did was when she covered the Crave series, and she did like a full I'll read this so you don't have to. But yeah, I had a lot of fun. If you want more videos like this, like and subscribe. It really does help my channel a lot, and I'll see you all next time. Bye.